The second annual Web Index is the world's first metric to gauge the web's global contribution to development and human rights. Now, the index takes into consideration a country's access to the web and a user's right to privacy. Sweden takes the top spot for online freedom this year, but the U.S. and the UK did not fare nearly as well. Each faced criticism over recent allegations of extensive state surveillance. Now, keep in mind, this is only the second time the group has released the now annual report. And its top recommendation for 2013 is reverse the rising tide of online censorship and surveillance. The man who invented the World Wide Web is also at the helm of this index. Web founder Tim Berners-Lee says online surveillance and censorship are threatening the future of democracy. He spoke to our Charles Hodson just a short time ago, and he started by speaking about Sweden's #1 ranking.
Partly it's attitude that the internet should be something which is more of a right, more of a fundamental utility that everybody, the government needs to provide to people and people need to use.
And in what way does it need to be used? Because I noticed that the United States is only #4. Why isn't it #1?
Well, yes, I suppose there's two things you could point to. One of them is that actually, the United States is a big country. It has actually, it doesn't have a very high internet penetration. Even though it's the first country to deploy the internet, it hasn't done a very good job of getting it to the rural population. And then, of course, also there's the government abuses of the internet when it comes to spying on it, which knocks it down, has knocked it down this year.
So there are inequalities. Let's come back to the surveillance, but certainly there are inequalities in terms of access. Essentially, in some countries which are fundamentally a bit unequal already, it seems that the rich have access and the poor do not.
Yes, or sometimes it's the rich and the poor, sometimes it's the urban and the rural, whereas other countries decide, you know, everybody in this country has got to be able to participate. Britain, for example, has also decided everybody should participate, so we're trying to get everybody online, and then when we get everybody online, government will be quick, easier, everything, industry will be quicker and easier, everything will be more efficient. So it's that sort of attitude of we're going to get everybody online, so, and that will, when that happens, then it'll be like, it'll be more of a right to be able to access.
Reading the deliberations of the World Wide Web Foundation, which you head, one has the impression that the web which you founded has turned into something quite ugly in some ways, that you're really very dismayed by the degree of political surveillance, the extent of the political surveillance that we've seen. It's been revealed particularly in the last few months.
Well, of course, the last few months have been, that's really topped the charts when it comes to the news people have seen about the internet. But on the other hand, yes, that's dismaying, but on the other hand, also what you see from the index is that in 80% of countries, people are getting together on the web, using social networking sites, for example, in order to hold their governments accountable, in order to make real change. And in 40% of countries, there's not only people getting together, but actually having an effect. People have affected the government, they've affected their country by collaborating together on the internet. So in a way, that is showing people being able to use the web as a serious force for the good.
What's your position, though, in terms of surveillance, or at least censorship? Because, I mean, many people find that there's a lot of web content that is distasteful, that they would like to see that kind of thing being taken off by social networking groups and others.
Well, in a way, to a certain extent, what countries find really should be blocked. Different countries, some countries just they have a vote and they decide that they don't want to have pornography on the internet. Other countries decide that no, I should have the right to be able to.
But you're not worried about that. I mean,
it's
political surveillance that worries you, is it?
What worries me is it when it's used for political, yes, certainly. So there's the blocking is one thing, and blocking, in fact, in a way, is the least of the worries, because when you're blocked, you know, as lots of countries where you go there, you open your laptop, you go to your favourite sites, and you just can't get there, and it's a bit of a shock. But you realise what's happening, and lots of people are referring to those sites. You know they exist. It's not underhand. Where spying is more insidious. When a government spies on its population, it'll let them go to the sites, it'll let them explore, then it'll just watch, see who they are, see who their friends are, and then one minute they all disappear from their houses and they've gone to jail.